Hey guys, welcome back to Chalkboard Tutorial. In this series on personal finance, we'll be looking at cash assets in this session, particularly the kind of cash assets that are available to us, and more importantly, the key features of said cash assets. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. The term cash investment usually is used to describe any kind of savings account that do two things, or it promises to do two things. So the first one is to pay back any principal intact. So whatever money you deposit in these assets or these vehicles is paid back on redemption or at maturity. The second thing it promises to do is to provide you with a rate of interest for said principal, which is then accrued and then given back to you at maturity or at redemption. So it provides two things: the principal and any accrued interest um, at redemption. Now, there's primarily two types of cash assets. One is the more common savings accounts that everyone is familiar with. Now, the second kind of cash asset is money market assets. Now, we'll be going into money market assets and its features in a minute, but let's start off with savings account. So, when you have a savings account, there are some main features or characteristics associated with it. The first one is that the principal is not exposed to investment risk. Now, unlike, say, equities or other forms of investment vehicles, as I mentioned earlier, the principal is returned intact at redemption or at maturity. So you get back the amount you deposit with the body. So it's not privy to investment risk. Now, what it is privy to is something called default risk. Now, what exactly is default risk? Well, it's the chance that the deposit taking body, which could be a bank or a savings institution, collapses and you do not get your money back. So, whilst a savings account is not privy to investment risk, it can have the possibility of being exposed to default risk. And there tends to be very minimal or no growth associated with it, or no kind of capital growth associated with these accounts. So these are the three main features of a savings account. Now, when we're looking at money market instruments, they're similar to the way savings account functions. Money market instruments tend to have different types. So some of the common types that we would be looking at later on in following videos is time deposits. So we have time deposits, we have treasury bills, and we have CDCs. So we've got treasury bills, we have CDCs, we have commercial paper, and we have bills of exchange. So commercial paper, and we have bills of exchange. Now, I'll go into a bit more depth regarding this, but for the next video, I'd be going into a little more depth regarding the returns on savings accounts, some of the things that you need to be aware of, and I'd be looking at annual equivalent return. So